Ladies and gentlemen, today's featured segment is presented to you by Radioactive Redhead. From Book 2 of the Warlock series, author Mike Bennett brings to life tales from distant lands, detailing the undertakings of special operators as they pursue an Iranian-funded menace. Operators roam from Kurdistan to Pakistan, and no stone is left unturned in Turkey. Will justice be brought to close the ledger for the tragic 1983 Beirut bombing? Join us as we present to you When Towers Fall. Chapter 5. Dale Coggins had been an engineer at the CIA for 23 years. He had worked in various divisions at the Directorate of Science and Technology for 20 of those years, during which he had served in the embassy stations nearly 10 years. DS&T is responsible for facilitating the collection, processing, and analysis of intelligence through technical collection systems. The DS&T is tasked with operating these highly sophisticated systems, as well as creating, adapting, and developing them. Dale was currently assigned to the Information Operations Center, the IOC, which was charged with developing HUMINT, H-U-M-I-N-T. Operators employ cyber and digital capabilities during espionage activities. When he left the briefing regarding the fledgling Nord Stream pipeline development, he thought it was time to turn the tables from defense to offense. He was going to develop a CONOP for a covert action to clandestinely and unattributably disrupt or degrade the pipeline's operations. Dale knew he had to make plain the threat of the triad of Iran, Russia, and Turkey to U.S. interests, and he had to go beyond scratching the superficial influence of oil to win the argument for a presidential finding authorizing covert action. For the time being, he had to put that aside, perhaps get some help in creating the justification and risk-reward part of the brief. For now, he would focus on engineering aspects of the analysis, something he knew well. For the time being, Dale was satisfied that he had identified a handful of attack points: compressors to move the gas along the pipeline, process control via SCADA, SCADA, and the actual product metering systems that could be manipulated to cast doubt in even the value of taxes a country might impose for the transit of the gas across its sovereign territory. Chapter 7. It is in these hotbeds of plummeting hope that the true believers find the malcontents wanting to fuel their rage into action, anything to staunch the despair. Under the nom de guerre, Al-Hajj Radwan Imad Fayez Munier feasted on the carrion that suffered in the incubators of Islamic extremism, the ghetto of the refugee camps. Every time Katyusha rockets were fired across Israel's border and in the IDF launched counterstrikes, there was fresh meat. As the chief of Hezbollah, the Party of God, the Lebanese guerrilla force, and the Shia Muslim community's dominant political bloc, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah is probably Lebanon's most powerful citizen today. With that said, Mughniya took orders from a man named Qasem Soleimani, the chief of a branch of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, in the arm of the Iranian government responsible for sponsoring terror attacks on Israeli targets. If Syria had not withdrawn from Lebanon along with Israel, it was because Soleimani had willed it so. Soleimani pulled the puppet strings on Bashar Assad and Hezbollah. Mughniya, although subordinate to Hezbollah, took his orders from Iran. He was so effective, Mughniya appeared on the initial list of the FBI's top 22 most wanted terrorists, which was released to the public by President Bush, with a reward of up to $15 million offered for information leading to his arrest. Thus, through Syria, the Iranian domination of Lebanese politics was ceded. On this wave, Hezbollah surfed with the assurance of a tsunami's destruction. Its power crested and receded as the UN Security Council Revolution 1559 called for all remaining forces to withdraw from Lebanon. The Prime Minister, Rafik Hariri, supported that UN resolution, and by doing so, it cemented his destiny. Upon Soleimani's direct orders, Mughniya made his preparations in that time, would fling Hariri into a maelstrom of deadly rip current, a martyr for the cause of Lebanese independence. Chapter 12. Mughniya fumed in his frustration of his inability to nail down a point in space and time where Hariri could meet his maker. To make matters worse, he was getting less than subtle indications Soleimani might not be willing to wait for the action to take place under his command. Revolutionary leaders who were not productive often died in mysteriously unfortunate but public ways. He was patient, and his patience was rewarded with the tip that Hariri, who, contrary to his reputation as a saint, had a mistress. At times, when his passion was inflamed, he met her for a rendezvous of the sordid kind. Fittingly, on Valentine's Day, they would meet at the St. George Hotel on the waterfront. Built in the late 1920s, the hotel was synonymous with Lebanon's glitz and glamour before the Civil War broke out, hosting the likes of Hollywood stars Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, as well as royalty and other celebrities, such as the Shah of Iran, Egyptian diva Kulthum, and the notorious double agent Kim Philby. On the 14th of February 2005, Hariri got into his car after visiting the Café de l'Étoile near Parliament, where he served as an MP. His motorcade passed along the seafront corniche. A truck bomb tore through his vehicle, leaving a massive crater and ripping the facades off the surrounding buildings. Gloatingly, Bumnia watched the bombing from his intercontinental Phoenician terrace. If this preview broadcast has piqued your curiosity, the book in its entirety will be available for purchase from Amazon.com. Simply search When Towers Fall by Mike Bennett and peruse a catalog of its latest works. Be sure to tune in to Radioactive Redhead to hear further excerpts from the Warlock series. This concludes today's featured segment from Radioactive Redhead. May your days be filled with good memories and laughter, and God bless.